Hi, this is Kristen here. Welcome to another process video. And today I'm working on day 29 of 30 days of sketches with Christy's Beautiful Life. And I am working with Vicki Boutin papers. So the papers that you see on the background, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 papers, were all from one of her paper packs. I don't believe that this was the newest one, cut and paste, although maybe some of it, because I've got a couple of her paper packs. One was from Joann's, one is a cut and paste. I do have her Flower Emporium line, and so at this point I've already gone ahead and pre-cut out my papers, and I'm just working with her ephemera. I've not adhered anything down, and I've got a ton of ephemera, so I've got a lot from when I purchased from Joann's. I've got her cut and paste. I've got of course, Flower Emporium, which I don't end up putting any Flower Emporium embellishments on this one. And you can see that it's pretty colorful paper, but I kind of felt like with this sketch that there was, a lot of layering of paper behind it. So I just kind of felt like doing something different, a little fun, mix and matching papers that, maybe wouldn't always work together, but with kind of the layout and tying in some of the colors, it would kind of work. Plus, I think a lot of Vicki Boutin stuff is, she's got, she has a nice mix of like really classic, like ephemera pieces, but then like really funky, ephemera pieces. She's got more classic mixed media, pieces, and then pieces that, are a little bit funkier looking. So I kind of felt like, let's kind of make it a little funky this time. But you will see that the embellishments I do pick out tend to be a little bit more on the classic side, because I wanted to kind of like, since the papers were a little bit, I don't want to say clashing, but, just a really mixed bag with what I put back there, that I wanted to kind of go a little bit more simple with kind of what my ephemera was going to be, that it was going to be a little bit more toned down, I guess you could say. And I end up pulling in a lot of pieces that I like, and then I go away from. It was funny because I put and pulled off pieces, and I end up cutting out quite a bit of this because there were a lot of times where I was like, I like that, and then I'd pull it back off. Like this house goes away, and I'm kind of like done with the house, but then I it ends up making the final layout. So you can see I'm covering it up with all the other ephemera because I was like, no, I don't really like it. And then I decide, that envelope piece, that goes away, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm going to do something different. And then I end up pulling that back in. So it's just kind of funny, like watching some of these videos, like, like I'm so convinced I'm going to do one thing, and then I end up going back to my original idea. But I also feel like sometimes when you have a lot of ephemera, that's the difficulty with ephemera, is it's hard to make a decision because you have so much that, you've got a lot of choices, and so it's hard to choose. Whereas if you have limited ephemera, then you don't really have a choice. Your hands kind of force a little bit, right? Now this banner, I thought for sure was going to make it on the layout. I loved it. I thought it was so cute. Put it up there. I was totally planning on working it on this page, and you can kind of see I'm like kind of back and forth with where I want to put it. And this piece totally does not even make the page, which is kind of funny, like looking at it now. See, and I'm still like working with ephemera. See, and the envelope goes back away. I'm like, okay, I think I'm going to go with this. So, it's just really funny sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, no, just keep it as is. So at this point, this is when I had cut away because I'm like, this video is going to be super long. And I have pulled up all the ephemera that I'm going to use. And so I'm going to start getting everything laid out. And so it shows on the sketch, it looks like you have one big piece of paper, and I could have gutted it. I felt like since I was going to be layering a bunch of papers on top of it, I felt like I needed kind of like a good base to put everything on. And so I didn't want to gut it because then I felt like I would have to re-adhere it to another piece of cardstock. So I'm like, at that point, I might as well just keep that intact. Plus, I don't know that there was much of a pattern on the other side. I don't really recall, but it wasn't one that I was like, going to be super sad. Plus, I think in this paper pack, it came with 2 pieces per, so I was like not as concerned. So anyways, it shows like a border, like a base paper down, then kind of one on a diagonal, and then a couple more on a diagonal, and then a strip across. So that's essentially what I'm doing here. I love this circle paper. I just think that is so cute. I feel like that I definitely need to, because I've got 2 pieces. Like I said, that came, it was 2 pages, or 2 pages of each piece of this paper. So I think that's why I wasn't like as concerned to like kind of use some of it up, and I'd forgotten to distress these. So I'm trying to distress them with them adhered down, which wasn't exactly easy, but I made it work. So, and then I almost adhered this one down before I distressed it, but then I remembered to distress it. So now a lot of that will actually get hidden behind. So off screen, I had pulled in this black, what are those things called? Clipboard. Oh my gosh. I pulled in that black clipboard because the circle paper had some black splatters in it. Plus I felt like that rainbow paper kind of on the end there, it's kind of like a darker green, but it almost kind of passes for black. Plus I was going to do a black title. I kind of felt like I need to tie in a little bit more black up at the top just to kind of ground the page and make it seem a little bit more cohesive. Plus the background, the pictures are pretty dark. So that's why that banner piece went away, because then I pulled that in and I felt like the banner piece really didn't work well with that clipboard, no matter where I put it. I ended up pulling that house back in, and I will always try to work a house of some sort into my ephemera for if we're at home and we're taking these pictures, because I feel like house ephemera is a little bit more difficult to use, and so I kind of tried to use it intentionally that way to signify that we were at home. This little flower there, that's actually a kind of like, it's supposed to be like a paper clip, which I have it on wrong there. I fix it. The envelope's going to go back there. And so I thought that flower worked really well. Now, granted, it doesn't really go so much super, I mean, there's definitely some of that like lighter blue in some of these papers. But I wanted to go with softer ephemera, just because the background paper was kind of, I don't want to say busy, but it had a lot of patterns and texture and stuff to it. So these little cloud pieces don't really have anything to do with anything, but I like them up there. Now I tend to be a really big theme scrapbooker, so this layout actually took me a little bit because there really wasn't much of a theme to this one. And I knew I wanted to use Vicki Boutin, so I had to originally put out Flower Emporium to use with this. And I just, the Flower Emporium paper that I was pulling for it, I didn't really like, because this was like a little goofier set of pictures of us. So I kind of wanted to go with a little bit more funky paper anyway. So, but again, I'm a big theme scrapbooker, so sometimes doing layouts like this takes me a little bit more time to kind of think about them, I guess. Now, the pictures I considered again mounting, and I opted to go the lazy route, and I decided to just distress the edges of them. Since all the papers were distressed, I just took my distressing tool there and just distressed around the edges of it, just to give the pictures a little bit more texture. And quite honestly, again, I don't know if I could have really picked out, since there's so many colors there, like something to actually like mount around it, because I usually will try to use some kind of color from the background. I'll usually mount it in white and then mount it in a color in the background that would make it pop. And I just felt like there were so many colors and things like that I wasn't really sure what I could use there that would actually kind of draw attention to the picture. So I just left it alone. And again, laziness. I do end up having to pop some of this up on foam there, just because of all the layering of the papers, just so looked, you know, flat. Getting the other picture adhered down, and then I'll get this one adhered down as well. And I hesitated using this greenhouse because there's not a ton of green on this paper. There is like hints of it kind of in the shading on the base paper. There's like a little bit of green hints to it. But there was green in the background of our picture. So quite honestly, I was okay with it because I kind of felt like, you know what, I'm just using a bunch of different colors on this layout. And I just am putting on here what I like and visually what feels good to me, and I felt like that looked fine there. So and I got this on there wrong, and I was like, oh, wait a second, I'm supposed to go like this. So got it figured out finally. So I'm gonna go ahead and glue that on. I decided I'm going to pop the memories up on foam as well as the other piece of the title on foam as well. Just because of all the layering of the paper, it just wasn't going to sit right if I glued it straight down. This little circle piece has a little camera inside. I just liked it on there. It didn't really, I mean, I just kind of popped it on there because I liked the look of it. And then this little deer, it says favorite. So the reason why it says my favorite, and then I've got the deer with the favorite on it, that's kind of like an inside joke between me and him. Now that he's older, I've always like kind of teased and told him, like, you know, one time I don't know if it was him or, you know, I don't know, somebody might have asked, like, who's your favorite out of the kids? And I jokingly told him, I said, it's you, just don't tell the others. And so that's always kind of like our inside joke, is that he's my favorite and not to tell the others. Which of course I don't have a favorite, but he just thinks it's kind of funny. So like getting like little inside jokes like that worked on there. I don't know if he'll appreciate them when he's older, if he'll even remember them, but that's, at least for me, it has some significance there. So, and then I popped the clouds up on foam. This is a little floral piece from Cut and Paste. So it was a sticker sheet that came in the Cut and Paste line, and I just popped it up there to work it in a little bit more yellow, since there was a little bit of yellow sticking out from the background paper there. And again, I'm not like a big washi tape person. I've got a ton of it, but I'm trying to be a little bit more mindful of using it because I don't want it to go to waste. So this washi tape was included in like one of the packs for the Vicki Boutin ephemera that was sold in Joann's. And so I'm just going to take pieces of this washi tape and kind of rip it apart and put it in 4 different spots on this page, which you can't see the bottom one right now just because of where I've got the page positioned here. So you'll see it in the close-up shots. And so that was just to work in a little bit more yellow, since, you know, I had put that yellow flower up there. There was a little yellow peeking out. And then this says Smile Lots, I think. And that was a sticker that came from, I think, with Cut and Paste. And then these little guys here are cut and paste pieces. So they were just like little tiny puffy stickers. And so it came with these hearts, which I thought were really cute. So I'm going to get some of these popped up here just to work on a little bit more colors. And again, you can see where I kind of went with like more muted, kind of toned down embellishments, just because with the background paper, you know, it was, I feel like if I did too much color, it was just going to be a little bit too, visually too much going on. So, although if I'd done a lot of color, I think it would have still worked. I mean, I think Vicki Boutin's papers work well for a mixed bag like that. Like you can go, because she's got like a lot of black and white elements, so you could go with real more muted tone. She's got a lot of colorful pieces, so I mean, I really feel like it's just kind of what you feel like doing at the time. These are little puffy sticker arrows, and I just kind of like the look of them, so I decided to pop them on there. They're just like a little tiny embellishment. I feel like sometimes, you know, those little details get lost on pages, but it's kind of nice to get some of that, you know, that stuff kind of used up. I was like back and forth on where to put this arrow for some reason. I don't know why I was like being so picky about it. And here are some close-up shots. I think it turned out really cute. It was kind of a funkier page for me. Not typically my, you know, standard layout, but that's why I love these sketches, because it makes you think outside the box and do things you normally wouldn't, and it ends up that you make a page that you end up really liking. Here are some close-up shots. I appreciate you coming by to watch another process video, and thanks again for coming by.